Evil Pixel.
Origin Systems Inc., a video game production company founded by brothers Richard and Robert Garriott in 1983. Origin Systems was responsible for the classic series Ultima, as well as the Wing Commander series, which is the topic for today's video. Now, Wing Commander was released in 1990 for MS-DOS, and later ported to several consoles including the Commodore 64, the Amiga, Sega CD, Super Nintendo, and eventually made it to PC in 1994. The game became so popular that it spawned a number of different medias including novels, a trading card game, an animated television series, and even a movie in 1999. The plot of the game is quite simple. The player takes control of a nameless pilot who is fighting his way through the ranks. The game changes based on the player's performance battling an alien race called the Kilrathi. Now, the Kilrathi are a tiger-like race who are aggressive and warrior-like in nature. The game became very successful with gamers as stated previously, and on September of 1991, Wing Commander 2 Vengeance of Kilrathi was released in North America for PC. The game was much less open-ended but much more structured, if that makes sense. Wing Commander 2 was praised by many for its mesmerizing story. The game became so popular that it spawned 2 expansion packs, Special Operations 1 and 2, which were released in 1991 and 1992 respectively. And so Wing Commander 2 just kept growing in popularity and gathered a decent-sized cult following. This lasted for several years. Interestingly, in 1994, Origin Systems Inc. stated they were developing a Super Nintendo port of Wing Commander 2, which was to be significantly different from the PC version. This comes in the form of an altered arcade orientation to better suit the platform in which the game was going to be released on. Now, gameplay aside, the graphics and renditions of the characters and aircrafts in the game would be drastically different from its original port. Now, as we all know, the Super Nintendo was an amazing console. However, at the time it was limited when compared to PC standards, so of course certain things needed to be altered. The cockpit is an example of things being altered but still maintaining a graphically impressive appearance, as it is different from its PC counterpart. It's also suggested that the story of the game was slightly rewritten, as some of the screenshots shown have different dialogue from the original PC version. Now, all of these things were actually published in the April 1995 issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly and May's 1995 issue of GamePro. Now, unfortunately, this would be the only time the game would get mentioned in the media. Now, on WCNews.com, which is a Wing Commander encyclopedia project worked on by the Wing Commander community, they were able to secure an interview with lead designer and project director Billy Kane. Now, several things were answered during this interview, and it was confirmed that Wing Commander 2 for the Super Nintendo was finished but never shipped, as they were completing game contracts, and this particular project was one of the last ones on the list. Now, he was also able to confirm that the game was made from scratch, as there were no references to go from given the platform. And he was also able to clear the air when asked why Wing Commander 2 was never released for the Super Nintendo, stating financial risk in the market was his guess. Now, this very well seems accurate, as these type of games weren't what a majority of kids were interested back in the 90s. I can speak from experience myself. Now, that's not to say that these type of games didn't exist in consoles, because the first Wing Commander actually made its way to the Super Nintendo with okay reception. Now, one interesting question asked to Billy Kane during the interview was, "Do you have any idea where the prototype could be today?" To which he replied, "Yes." Now, it's interesting how relics can just be laying around in someone's garage while a group of enthusiasts wait to see if it'll see the light of day. Perhaps it was best that Wing Commander 2 never made it to the Super Nintendo, as the console was already dying out and the CD-based consoles such as the PlayStation were slowly about to dominate the gaming world. Another case of the world possibly wasn't ready for this game just yet. And since there is a copy out there somewhere, we might still have a chance of feasting our eyes on it. In 2006, EA released a port of the Super Nintendo version of Wing Commander to the PlayStation Portable as part of the EA Replay collection. So who's to say this may or may not one day happen to Wing Commander's 2 port of the Super Nintendo in perhaps a current gen console? One can only hope. But regardless, Wing Commander continued on to become highly successful. Wing Commander went to become a bestseller, and the franchise itself was considered a pioneer in the space combat simulator genre. In 1991, Wing Commander was placed as one of the 50 best computer games of all time. The game was so big, it even enlisted Hollywood actors for its games such as Mark Hamill, Malcolm McDowell, and Walton Goggins to name a few. So it goes without saying that Wing Commander deserves its praise. But unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. Check out some of our other videos if you like. And don't forget to follow us on other medias. Check out our Twitch where we stream sometimes. Or join our Discord to make any recommendations for any future videos or talk about unreleased games. And I'll catch you all next time.